Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we're Masechtas Nedarim daf Ayin Aleph. We are going to begin on the very top of Ayin Aleph, Amud Aleph, by the new Mishnah. Masnisin. Nadra, let's say she makes a neder, Vehi Arusa, and she did so while she was already had Erison. And then Niskarsha, Bo Bayom, and she ends up getting divorced on that same day that she had made this neder. And then Nisarsa Bo Bayom Afilomeya. Let's say she remarries someone. Everything takes place on the same day. She gets divorced, remarried, divorced, married, again, Erison, to more than one man. So the din is that Avia Ubala Hacharan Mafia Nedereha. So we mentioned already at the beginning of this parak that by Namarasa, both the husband and the father are together when it comes to being made for the neder. You need both of them. So in this situation, even though she was engaged, but essentially got divorced and then got remarried to another guy, it was all bo bayom, so now the right of hafara is now on the other man. So let's look at the Ran. So the Ran says, Mishum de B'shah skinon, de Shama Orus or Shama Av. We're talking about a situation where they heard about it. Mishum hachi davka bo b'yoyim. It has to be on that day. Of a yom shal charav, lo. A day afterwards will not work. Kivan de Shama chad minayhu, since one of them may have heard it, vo hefer kaimi l'nidra. So we say that the neder is mekayim. So it has to be, it's all talking about all happened bo b'yom. Zeklal. So this is the general rule. Koshul yotzol rishus atzma. Anytime where she has not left her rishus to her own rishus, and she's no longer back to the father, if that's not what happened, even shoachas eviubal hacharon mafir nedereha. So as long as she still has a connection to her father, so then the din is that the father still is made from the Nedarim together with the last Ors. So in this, the Ran says, Shulo Boger V'lo Nises. It's talking about Davka, where she's not already the age of a Bogeres, where she's considered to have left the Rishus Av, and also we're talking about a situation where she didn't already have Nesuin. Once Nesuin took place, even if she gets divorced, at that point, again, she's out of the domain of the father. The Bogro Nises, not the Rishus Av, Oris L'chude Lo Matzi Mefer. We know an Oris by himself cannot be Mefer. So if she did Nesuin, and therefore she left her Shusa Av, and then she does Erison with another person, so the din is that that man cannot do Hafara. The only time the man can do Hafara is together with the father, as a Namarasa. But once Nesuin took place, she's already left the Rishus of the father, so then no longer is the next Oris able to do so. Okay, so look at question 3. Kol shelo yotzer rishus atzma shachas avihu bal acharon mafir nedra. It says Mishnah, but it's really just the Ran only, really. So the Ran says either when she's Bulgaris or B'shas Nesur. Okay. So let's see the Gemara. Minolin de Orus Acharon Meifin Nedarim. How do we know in a situation where she's now remarried to another guy that he has the right now to be made for the Nedarim on the same day that she was divorced by her previous husband, and it's all happened on the same day that she made this neder. Shenirul Orus Rishon, during a time in which literally the first husband, the first chassan heard about it, and he was shasik, and then he gets divorced, they get divorced, and now she gets remarried. The second guy still has the ability to do hafara, even though maybe you would think the shtika of the first husband would be enough, almost like a form of hakama, to not allow the second husband to do hafara. Says the Ran, the Minitani Nisgarsha Bobiyom, they got divorced, and the Sarsa Bobiyom, Karchach B'Shamaskinan. We're talking about a situation where the first chassan actually heard on that day. The ilo bo b'yom lomali, because if not, then why does that have to say bo b'yoim? Right, skipping a few lines. The chitana bo b'yom mishum shmias oris tanale. It's dafka because he actually heard it. Because as we said before, if maybe he did not hear it, then in fact the din would not be the case. So we're talking about a situation where the chassan heard it, the first one, and nonetheless we're saying now that he got divorced, she's now engaged to another man on that all on the same day, that now the second man has the ability to do hafara. Why? How do we know this? Okay. So let's continue. So he says, based on the following, Omer Shmuel, it must be in support to what Shmuel says. Omer Kra, the pasuk says in Bamidbar, V'im hayu sel ish, if it is that this woman is to a man, unadereha aleha. We're going to focus on the word aleha. So there are this neder is upon her. Now this, as the Ran says, aleha kra yiserhu. It's an extra word. Loimer kol nedarim shaleha. All of the nedarim that's upon her, they feel nirul orus rishain, which is mashma nedarim shoyolek kvar. Even if the orus before knew about it, and he was shasik, divorced her, and then she got remarried, the din still is that still this new orus has the ability to be mefer together with the father. Now, Dilma Hanimi Lishul Nirul Orus Rishon. Maybe it's only if the first guy didn't hear about it. Aval Nedarim Shenirul Orus Rishon. If he did hear about it, Lo Matzi Mefer Orus Acharon. Maybe the last one can't. So Aleha Kroyeserahu. Again, as we saw in the Ran, it must be Aleha is saying that any Nedarim that's upon her doesn't make any difference, even if the first husband heard about it. Nonetheless, the din is that the second one could still be made for it. Tani Kivas to the Shmuel. So we're now going to bring support to this din of that which Shmuel said, which is really what our Mishnah holds, that even though the first chassan heard it, so the din is the second chassan is allowed to do the hafara. As it says as follows, Naira Hamarasa, as we see in this Tosefta, that when it comes to a Naira Hamarasa, Avia Ubal Mafir Nidara, which is basically almost a direct quote from our Mishnah, or from the beginning of our parak, that the din is that both parties, the husband and the father, both have to be made from the Nedarim. Now, Ketzad, what exactly is going on over here? So, Shama Avia, let's say that on that day, the father heard that she made a neder, the Hefer law, and the father immediately on that day, upon hearing it, was Mefer, V'lo Hispek Abal Shmoya, and the first husband didn't even hear her. He didn't hear anything. He didn't know about it. Ad Shemes, until he dies. And then V'nis Arsa, and then she marries a different chassan, Bo Bayom, on that day. V'afil Meil Pamim, even 100 times. Aviu Bal Achron Mafir Nedera. The father, who, again, he was already made from the Nedarim, that this new Baal is allowed to be made from the Neder. But it's only maybe in a situation where we're talking about where the Baal didn't hear about it. The original guy never heard about it before he died. Shama Baala Beheferla, let's say a different situation. The husband heard about it and he was Mefer. Lo Hispeka Avlishmoa Ad Shemes. Imagine that the father did hear about it. He didn't have a chance to hear about it before he died. And then Habal Chayzer Ad Shemes Habal, till the husband dies. So he's saying that in that situation, as we see the koyach of the Baal of the father is stronger, that if the Baal dies, that the father has the koyach to be able to remove the neder. He's able to be made for it. Okay. Amarav Nasin Hein Hein Divri Beis Shammai. This is only going to be Shammai, and Beis Hillel Omrim Ein Yachol Hafer. Beis Hillel says that the father does not have the ability to be mefer. So let's look in the Ran. What is Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel? So we saw this already. So the Ran says LeBeis Hillel the Sfir Hu Miklosh Kolish. So when it comes to both of these parties, the father and the husband, so they both have to be mefer. What if only one is mefer, not the other? So he said, is it that it's according to Beis Hillel, it's Miklosh Kolish? We don't say that the one person removed, let's say, half of the neder, but rather all it did was weaken the entirety of the whole neder. Now, kivan de shamoavia, since the father heard about it, the Hefer one, he did annul it, which is half the job. So it actually doesn't remove half, or rather, v'iskushle high nidra. All it does is it weakens the neder, makes not the whole neder not as strong. The akati isel av, the akati isel av. It's still, this neder completely exists. V'batul hafara, delay. he didn't mavatal any entirety of the neder, he just weakened it. So if that's the case, then how is it shaykh that the last guy should be able to remove it? He said the shamavia, if the father heard about it, the hefer law, and the husband died, de'ein ha'av yochel hafer. According to Beis Hillel, he says the father does not have the ability to be mefer b'chihai gavna. In this case, since this is through the transference, because it was really supposed to be given over to the husband. Now the husband died, so maybe it will now be transferred and go back to the father. But since this is through transference, it is too weak. It's a weak neder, according to Beis Hillel, so the av can't be mefer. Okay? The Kivan de Ikush, says the Ran, Nidra lo chashiva harishal av. It's not significant enough that the father should inherit it. So it's one thing if you say half of it's removed, but half of it's strong, so then the father can get it back. However, if you hold that the whole thing is weakened, so then it's not a davar chashiv enough that the father should, so to speak, inherit this right. And therefore, according to Beis Hillel, who says miklosh kolish, the din is that the father doesn't have the ability to be made for it after the husband dies. Skipping a line, in the event there's a change in the place, that what happens is the neder is transferred from the oris to the father. However, there is it's not able to be transferred. But now there's another oris. When we look at him, kikari derishon, we envision him, he's like just another guy, right? He's just another man. So now it's not going from the oris to the father, but it's just going from one chassan to another chassan. You've seen one chassan, you've seen them all. So afagav the ikushle nidr, even though it's weak, then matzi ab ubal hafer. We will allow the father to and the husband, the acharon, to be mefer. The chiyagav the love is in tukehu. So in this case, it's not being transferred over. It's not a form of transference, and we say it's not a davar chashiv enough lo chashiv lo harishal av. But over here, it's from chassan to chassan. It's not from chassan to father. It's chassan to chassan, and since it's just a new chassan, is taking place of the first chassan, so therefore the second one does have the right to do it. So to transfer the koyach from the husband to the father, according to Beis Hillel, you can't do. However, according to Beis Shammai, he will say it's okay. So now let's go back and understand this again. So he said Shama Bala. Let's say the husband heard about it, the Hefer, and he was Mefer. But Hisbik Av was Shmoya, and he wasn't able to do anything on Shemeis Habal until the husband died. Chayzer Av Mefer Chelko Shobal. So the father can be made for the chelka of the husband, but that's only if you hold migas gayas, that actually he has something of substance, like Beis Shammai says, that's being inherited to the father. Or if you hold miklosh kolish, then we don't say that din, and therefore, according to Beis Hillel, no, of a Beis Hillel omrim in yochel hafer, you cannot be made for this situation. So, but my pligi, what exactly is the source of this machlokas as we continue to Ayin Avlamid Beis? V'shami savri nedarim nami shiroil oros nistroik n'rishos la'av umegas goyes. According to Beis Shammai, who says that in this situation where there's a second husband, the first husband, let's say, dies, then the second husband can inherit this, is not only in that situation, but also if the husband dies, that it can go to the father, is because nedarim nami shiroil oros, a neder which is fit for the go to the oros, and then the oros dies, then it can go back that power to the father, because megas goyes, because as we said, it has the element of strength, at least half of it, for the father to be Yerush. Look in the second wide line in the Ran. When the husband rather is mefer, if delay palge de nidra, it's completely removed. Lagamri, completely. Harimasa shol nigmar, that's complete. Istalik le oris lagamri. and therefore it's like he's completely removed. And then he's skipping another line, Kam le av b'lo oros. So now it's like the father is without the oros. Beis Hillel Savri, says the Ran, Aviu ba'al acharon mafir nidareha. He says you could, the ein ha'av yochel hafer lavadai. The father can't do it himself. Mishum delav megas gayis, the hefer baal, that once the husband is mefer, lo ishtikol palga de nidra, it's not that half of it was removed, elukul nidrahu the iklish ukalisha. It got weakened. While ma'aseh gamarhu, it's not a complete action. Mishum hachi lo chayil klal adz mistarfli kalishas the iduch. It doesn't work until the entirety of the other half is removed. So let's go in the Gemara. Beishamei Savri, Nedarim Nami Shreil Oris the Circner Shasal Av Megas Gaius. Beis Hillel Savri Aviu Bal Achron Mafir Nedrevel Megas Gaius. Okay, we're gonna stop there. Let's see a few questions. Question 4, we'll see tomorrow. Question TB17. Shamu Avia. So the father heard about it. V'heferlan. He removed the neder. So that removes it, at least part of it. And he dies. Arsa boba and then she does ersa right away. So mi mefer nidara. Who does the hafara? This is what I wrote. The Mishnah says that even many times, if she gets remarried, the last person could be mefer her nidarim. But if the Baal died, we say nisraikna la'av, and the father is mefer lavadai, like when she was a penuya. Let's see what they write over here. Lafi perish rishain baran. Is that what the question is? Lakuliyam laviu balachar mafirin. Everyone holds they could do. Laperish sheni baran hainu beishamai. That's only like beishamai avul beis hillel ein echad mehem mefer nidara. That maybe. Either you can say, oh, that's like everyone, or maybe it's only Beis Shammai, but according to Beis Hillel, in Echad Mehem Mefer Nidar Ad Kan.